I'm in the spotlight, yeah. It's
Yeah,
fine.
as you should be. All right. Okay, how's it, Dave?
Good news, man.
Good, good. So we're on to the second episode, I guess you want to call it.
Yeah.
Of, I don't know, just shooting it about different clubs, a little bit of misconceptions, common ideas
Yep.
that may be wrong. So what are we going to talk about today?
So I've got, obviously you can see I've got two putters and a driver head and then some shafts. So I feel like, we obviously do talk about this quite a bit, but like with the irons, retail fitting historically has been, we go for a fitting, retail fitting, we try the new driver. Guys are commissioned to sell a certain brand. So regardless of what you had in mind going in there, they had something else that they already had planned to sell you, regardless of what was going to be the best option for you. And that's just, it's sad, but it's true. But also, you've been through this process with us of checking what frequency the shaft is, checking what face angle the driver really is, checking the true loft of that driver. And that's obviously, I'm going to touch more on that today, where it's like you go in, you hit a club, and it's probably happened to you as well. But I know it happens to a lot of my students, is they hit a driver great and they're fitting. I had an example of one of the latest drivers that's just released. The guy comes in and he goes, yeah, I was hitting the fitting one really nicely. And then I was like, okay, cool, what shaft was it, wada. And luckily, like, flex-wise, shaft was good. It wasn't actually far off, which is fine. Like, that's cool. It works for him. The profile of the shaft is correct. But it was a 9-degree driver. The guy hits it too high. Just to give you background, hits it too high, spins it too high. 9-degree driver playing at 13. Okay.
Was it set on standard or what was
Well,
it?
you know that you can't
Yeah.
actually change the loft. So
Yeah.
that's the other thing that they sell you, is you can turn it to lower. It was just set on standard.
Yeah.
And I explain, I put the driver in the loft and line machine, change the setting, put it back, and he goes, oh yeah, you actually can't move the loft, because I went
Yeah.
both ways. I said, look, I'm going to do it, set it up, this is the loft on the driver, you're not changing it. And he was like, but why do they sell that? And I'm like, well, it's marketing, right? The more settings it has, the more versatile it is. So you think you can change loft and you can change face angle,
Yeah.
but that's all that setting really does. It's not going to give you more or less loft, because
Yeah.
if you look at it like an iron, what do we have to do with an iron? You've seen me up there with a crowbar, actually, like, de-lofting and adding loft to a club. It takes a bit of force, right? There's no way that you're going to get that right on a little
Spinning it in, yeah.
slightly skew hosel.
Yeah.
Like, it's not enough.
It's like one of those misconceptions, I
Yeah,
guess, that you
That's
go,
what they promote. Yeah.
you've got this driver and you go, ooh, I'm hitting this thing way too high, I better
gonna
turn
turn
it
it
down.
down.
And you go from, your standard 10.5 to like a 9.5.
That's what you think, but
Yeah.
then all you're doing is so minus, and this is something everybody needs to know. Okay, it bugs me a lot, because we have a favorite YouTuber who talks about this all the time,
Yeah.
who I comment on, but you can't turn the loft down. So as soon as you put it on minus, all you're doing is changing the face angle to open. That's it. And if you put it on plus, you're not adding loft, you're closing the face angle. That's it.
So you wonder why when you turn this thing down, all of a sudden all
goes
your
right.
balls are going right.
100%.
Yeah. I
And
can't figure it out. So
yeah, exactly.
the
But
problem
also,
is, yeah.
like, on that same note, you go, okay, cool. This guy misses high right as his miss, okay? But he's under the impression that he's turned down loft. His loft is 14 or 13 on a driver that's
Yeah.
supposed to be 9.
Yeah.
It's a low spin driver because he needs it. Okay, he does. Like, he actually spins it too high. But now he's got 13 degrees of loft, which is essentially a 3 wood. And then what he's also got an issue with there is face angles 3 open.
So it's going to keep
So
on
it
going
goes right
no matter what you want.
But now he's turned it down, because in his mind he's de-lofted it. But he's actually just opened it from 3 to 5 degrees open. So his
It's
problem
just the
becomes worse.
miss, yeah.
So you have the same loft, just a more open face, but you start hitting it even further right. And he's like, why is it not going lower? I'm like, we've had this discussion. You can't do it, right? So heads example, that head there on the Ottoman is I think it's an 11.5 or a 10.5.
Yeah, low 13.5.
Yeah.
So it's a 12,
12
stamp
degree
12.
head, yeah. Stamp 12, 13.5. What's
Yeah.
the face angle?
4.5 open.
4.5 open on a draw bias driver. See what I mean?
Yeah, so the stamping
Yeah. It doesn't
necessarily
really,
mean
there's
anything.
so much tolerance, man. It doesn't really
Yeah.
mean anything. And that's kind of the difference that I'm getting to is you come to us, we know exactly because we measure all our heads. We handpick that head exactly what you've been fit to, right? So if you come in and you want and the 9 degree was the one that worked, and we know it's 1 degree open, so okay, cool. We put it on higher plus to get it square and it works. Then when we hand select, we know, okay, cool. 9 degrees aloft and then face angle square. But we hand select that, so
Yeah. Technical difficulties. Bit of drilling.
pros, yeah. So yeah, I think like, for me it's like that's the big difference and that leads me on to say like you fit this head, okay? We don't know what it is in a retail store because it's not marked.
Yeah.
They just go based on stamping, okay? Now he gives you one off the rack.
That one could be different.
It's one
completely.
every single one of those heads that I've got, and it's not just a brand thing. It's like all brands. There's tolerance, right? There's mass production. There's tolerance.
Yeah.
Okay. But there you don't know what the shaft is because it's not frequency matched or it hasn't been measured. So we're all based. Like I've got 2 shafts here as well as an example. So I've got a 60X, right, and a 60 stiff. So that one there is a 60X, but the frequency is 6.1.
Yeah.
This is a 60 stiff
yeah.
on the stamping, but it's a 6.9 flex. So this is more of an X than what that is, but it says it's a stiff, but that says it's an X. And this is like custom fitting stuff.
Yeah. This is not your standard
No, like this
retail
is not a
stuff that comes
retail.
off,
But this thing costs $120 to produce.
Yeah.
The retail stuff's $12 to make
Yeah.
a shaft. So you're expecting to just trust them.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the problem is you can't just rely on what that thing says because you've seen it with your clubs as well.
Yeah, with my old shaft that I had, I think it was stamped as an X, and then when we put it on the machine, it obviously came out closer to, I don't know, the low end of regular. And you're going, cool,
He doesn't want to
I've got
say
an
senior.
extra stiff
Yeah.
shaft and
Yeah.
wondering why I can't
Yeah.
hit my driver further than 220.
No, exactly.
It's because this thing's playing on regular, which is completely wrong for me.
For you, yeah, exactly, yeah. So it's like, I think that's the big message is don't trust everything you see.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of where we differentiate ourselves is like every shaft we hit, if you decide that's the shaft for you, you get that exact spec, not one like it.
No.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like I have 2 of these green shafts. One plays 7.0, one plays 6.1. Okay? That's exactly what I would know if I, like, after a fitting, go and measure your chosen club, whether it's irons, wedges, driver, it doesn't matter. But then we frequency match and we MRI match those when we build them. So they feel the same. They play identical to the one that you actually fitted for. Not, oh, this one looks exactly the same, face value, here you go. Because I've done it many times before I knew this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
as like it happens with pros as well, man. Like they get given a club and they go, yeah, I was hitting it great, but then they built me one and now I can't hit it.
Yeah.
And then you go like, what was it supposed to be? And it's
Yeah.
not what it is.
So, like you say, you might have your spec down as well, but you go to someone and say, cool, this is what my spec is, and they're going to give you everything that's stamped like that.
Yep.
Meanwhile,
Doesn't
it's
necessarily
not
mean
the
it's
case.
right
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like on the driver's side, and that goes for all of them.
Yeah.
But obviously, number one is you can't change loft on a driver. Stop believing it. It's not true. It's all happening.
A little bit of flickering, yeah.
Can I go and turn that off?
Yeah, I'll go check.
Sorry. This is great to add into the video. I was just trying to get your face in as well.
No, Archer, no, it's fine.
Jeepers.
Yeah.
Drilling, lights are flashing. So yeah, like your loft isn't necessarily what it says it is, and your face angle is really important.
Yeah.
Like it's a very important overlooked thing.
Yeah.
as bad as driver shaft overlooking it just because you swing it at a certain speed without, like the irons, driver shafts, fairway shafts, they all have bend profiles like we discussed last time, and they come in so many variations. So, that's why it's important to get custom fit, because I know what your spec is on your irons, and you brought in your driver shaft broke, and you brought in another like 2 or 3, and I said, well, that one is the right flex, but it's not the right bend profile. It's not going to work. And then we kind of went through them and said, I didn't try to sell you a new one. I just said, look, this is the closest that we can get you to the right spec.
Yeah.
And you can tell all your friends are coming in here telling me how far you hit the ball and how straight you hit the ball, but those things are considered when we do these things. It's not just a suck of the thumb and it's a 60
picking out something.
Perfect. That's not how it works. I told you straight up, like your 3-wood as an example, you couldn't hit it. We put that shaft in. I said, it will work, but it's a little light, so you might lose it left because of this and this and this.
And that's what they're doing,
it's based off facts, not just what it's stamped. And I think that's so important, and people don't understand that. But we're going to get to putters now in the next segment, but it's that whole principle of, if you're going to go and spend $15,000 on a driver and it's still wrong, why do it?
Yeah.
I'd rather find you a decent head. If your head's fine, come and get a new shaft and spend $7,500 on the best shaft out there, which is perfect for you. And I'm not saying that's what it's going to cost. I'm going higher end, but it's like, that's the thought process, is let's get you into what works for you. If we can get that loft right, the face angle right, and the shaft right, you don't have to keep buying a new driver because they promise you it's going to go 20 meters further. It's not. You're not swinging it faster, and there's nothing they could dramatically do to the driver head because they're all on the limit. There's nothing that's going to change the fact that, all of a sudden now you're going to hit it further because it's a newer model. No. You're more likely to hit the current model you're using with the right shaft
way better,
way further. I mean, I had a guy the other day who had a King Cobra LTDX. He said, I don't want to change the head, I like this head. And I was already me, I'm going, yes, that's a bit old, but they're decent. And I've had a few bad experiences.
But also those LTDXs, we've seen a lot of guys struggle to hit them.
They sound weird.
They're notoriously hard to hit heads. I mean, that's why they didn't sell well. But if you like it, you like it.
And he was adamant. He was like, I want a new shaft. His brother just came in the day before. He had got the latest Strixon driver with an Acura, the red shaft, the GX, and he gained massive distance. I mean, we're talking 25 meters carry. 30 meters on average total distance over his old driver,
and probably dispersion better.
Crazy dispersion. But it's this guy came in and he said to me, I'm working with this head, I don't want to change it, I like it, but my shaft I know is wrong. I'm not exaggerating when I say he went from carrying at 220 rolling out to 250 with his driver, but all over the place. He just couldn't load the shaft at the right time. His shaft was playing sort of 5.0, he swings it at 120. So it was a bit chaotic in terms of where that club was coming into contact with the golf ball. Got him into the right flex, right bend profile. He went from a soft, medium, soft to a firm bend profile. So it's firm throughout. He was quite a quick transition, quite quick tempo and late release. I mean, he was carrying a 270. Same driver head. But
just the right shaft.
Crazy.
He's also at 50 meters extra. He's carrying it.
He's carrying it 50 further, and total was 285 average versus 240, 250 maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge gain.
That's crazy, yeah.
And he will never have to change that. Well, I say never, but it's going to be 5-6 years before he has to change the shaft. You might get tired of the LTD head.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean, then he can just get a head from us that's hand-picked and we go, okay, cool, this will work exactly the same. Which you'll never get anywhere else. I don't think. I've never seen it, at least. Where you kind of go, shit, I can actually keep the shaft and just buy the head next time that matches the old one to the spec.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere now and say, I want a 9-degree head that's 1 degree open. They're going to look at you and go, what are you talking about? Because they don't know.
Yeah. Or they'll go and pick out a 9-degrry head there that's possibly...
Set it to, if they know what they're doing, set it to -1.
Yeah.
To lower.
But then, I mean, like you say, we're talking about this thing now, it's stamped 12, but it's 13.5.
You don't know, yeah.
I mean, they'll give you that. give you a 9-degree head,
Yeah.
or you buy it online. You buy a 9-degree
Yeah.
head. Meanwhile, it's a
Still won't know what it is.
10.5
Yeah.
or whatever it is. Who knows?
But that's how scary it is.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why? And I get it. Like, everybody says it's like, and that's the one thing that we didn't quite touch on is like people say it's way more expensive if you get custom fit. It's
Yeah.
really not.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be a little bit more expensive based on which shaft is right for you, but it's not. It's not a decision I make based on I'm going to sell you that
The
shaft
most
over this
expensive,
one because it's $2,000 more. I go, let's see what the numbers say. You've been for a fitting with me several times now with different clubs. You know, like I'll always go with what the numbers say. Like,
Yeah.
and I try every head as well. It's not like you get pushed into a certain brand if you come in here. We're going to give you everything we got if it's going to work for you. I'm not going to give you something if I know it's going to work. If you're adamant about a certain club, whether it's a set of irons, you know, let's say you wanted the big-faced Gima irons, be like Jason.
Yeah.
You don't need these things. They're way too big. You know, you're going to hit it way too high, too much MR at the back. You're going to spin it too high. I'll let you try it, but explain to you in that same vein why it doesn't work, showing you the numbers. It's not like we're going to say, oh, you can't use this brand because it's not going to work. Well, if you were like a dedicated Titleist, whatever, and you want to hit it, but it doesn't perform the same, I'll let you try it.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't really make such a big difference across brands anymore these days as well because they are a lot more sort of close together. Like, you know, they like you can see the difference. Like the newer drivers tend to perform the same, even though they say they get a lot more bull speed and stuff. I don't really see that much difference. Like maybe 1 or 2 miles here or there, but it's not like I'm going to give you a driver head in your custom fitted shaft and all of a sudden you're going to swing it 10 miles an hour quicker. It's not going to happen.
No.
Like that's you.
Yeah.
That's how you swing a golf club. Like it's not going to really change. And that's where like people say, oh, you know, like there's a lot of this thought that if a shaft's more flexy, you're going to get more speed.
No.
You're looking at 1 or 2 miles an hour. It's not a big difference.
Like the interesting thing with that is, I mean, your swing speed and all of that's going to pretty much stay around about where it is. I mean, unless you're doing serious speed training, which, you know, separate discussion. But what you probably will get is if you've got the right shaft and head, you're going to get better ball speed out.
Your strike will improve.
Which then,
will
better
improve.
strike, better consistency, you know, less missing left or right. And
that's kind of where you optimize a guy into the right thing is you go, like I'll go, okay, cool. That head was really coming off nicely, but it was launching with high, spinning with high. Then I'll try him in a lower lofted one like that same shaft. And if it's still spinning too high, I go, okay, cool. This head, you know, the shaft is working. Sort of, let's say we decide on this green shaft for you, and I go, that's the shaft. I can tell. Like in the other head, you were hitting it great, but you want a certain brand, and I put it in, and I go, okay, cool. Same shaft, same swing weight, same MRI, everything is very much the same, but you still launch it a bit high, or you still spin it a bit high. Then we go, I can try you in the lowest spinning version of this. But at a certain point, I'm going to have to go, you know, you need less loft or you need a different head style. And that is what it is. And that's as much as we can do. Yep.
Okay.
So,
cool. That's
it for drivers. Yep.
Yeah. Nice.
Perfect.
Okay,
Do you want to stop
thanks.
it?